Hey, welcome back to the Sales Show, the podcast for women in service-based businesses who are done with all the rubbish, the hustle, and are actually ready to grow their business in a way that feels good. I am so glad you're here today because what we are talking about in this episode is something that I wish someone had said to me many, many, many moons ago. It would have saved me so much exhaustion, the second guessing, and the absolute dread of going into a new week every single week. So today we are talking about that amazing word of consistency. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, great, Maree's going to be another person telling me I need to show up every single freaking day, stay with me because I'm here to completely flip that idea on its head. Let me share a story with you that I hear over and over and over again with women I work with. I literally just did a voice note into our Her Sales Club group chat about it. And it's about this idea that we need to constantly show up, be visible, and have this consistency to have a really big, beautiful, growing business. And what I see happen is we decide that now is the time to get serious about our business. We are ready for that growth. And so we go off and we make this plan and we're going to post on Instagram every day and Facebook every day. And we're going to send all the emails and we're going to do the stories and the reels and the TikToks and the LinkedIn articles. And we're going to go to all these networking events and follow up with every single lead. And then somehow we also have to develop or deliver this incredible work for our existing clients. Does this sound familiar? It's exhausting even just naming all this stuff off. And so for like a week or two, it works. You know, you're riding that motivation wave. You feel productive. You feel visible. You're like, yes, I'm nailing it. And then life happens. Client needs extra support. Kids get sick. You have a big proposal to write or a project to deliver. Or you've got a Mother's Day event and you take a whole day out of your business. And then the whole thing suddenly just freaking falls apart. And you miss one day of posting. And then that one day turns into 2 days. And then a week goes by and you feel like, oh my God, I'm so far behind. And it all starts to feel overwhelming again. And so we end up doing nothing. The guilt kicks in, that sneaky little voice that says, see, you're just not consistent enough. That's why you're not growing. That's why your business isn't where you're at, where you want it to be at. And so can I tell you something? That voice is full of shit. Excuse my language, but it is. The problem is never about consistency. The problem is about the definition of our consistency and the way that we're working with it. Now, consistency can also look like constantly doing this marketing. And so we have these big peaks and troughs around we get sales in, then we've got to deliver. And then we stop doing the marketing because we've got to deliver. Somewhere along the way, probably via some marketing guru, Instagram captions, whatever, we're sold this idea that consistency means volume. And we then turn that into showing up everywhere, all the time, every single day at this high frequency. But that's not consistency, right? That is literally exhaustion in the form of a content calendar. For me, real consistency is that kind that actually builds a business, and it's about being reliable. It's about being someone that your ideal clients can count on, someone that shows up in a way that feels like them and communicates that same core message and builds trust over time. It may be like your favorite podcast. Do you love it because every time, like it's released every single day? Or do you love it because every time a new episode drops, you know exactly what you're going to get and it always delivers? It may actually be this podcast. Who knows? Or even like your favorite cafe. You go back to it not because they change their menu every single week, but because the coffee is always good and the person behind the counter always makes you smile and you always feel welcome. That, my dear people, is consistency. And it has nothing to do with the volume. And I feel like this is something that is the heart of everything I teach. Sales at its core is 100% about that relationship and connection. It's about people trusting you enough to invest their time and energy into what it is that you do. And that trust is not being built by being everywhere all at once. Trust is being built through repeated, genuine connection over time. It's like that friend that you may not speak to every single day, but when you pick up the phone and have those conversations, that relationship is there. And so if we look at that in real life, we don't trust someone because we talk to them every single day for a month. We trust them because every time we do talk to them, the experience feels great. We know what we're getting. They show up the same way. They do what they say that they're going to do. We make them feel seen and understood, right? That for me is what consistency looks like. And we need to push that across in our sales and our marketing. It is absolutely not about posting every single day. It's about making sure that when we do post and when we do our marketing, that it sounds like us. It's us, it's our voice, it's our values, it's everything that we stand by. It's not about emailing your list weekly if that type of frequency drains you. It's about emailing when we have something genuine to say, and say it in a way that makes our readers feel like it's been written specifically for them, because it is. We really want to build those conversations and check in with people authentically, right? Stay in people's orbit in a way that feels natural so you keep doing it. Because when we sell from a place of genuine relationship, you don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be present in the places and the time that it matters. Let me talk for a second about what actually happens when we try to maintain that impossible pace of consistent visibility. First of all, and I see all the time, the quality drops. And so when you're creating content every single day, you're going to run out of things to say. And we end up relying so heavily on AI, and people can see through it. So we start posting just to post. We write captions that don't really say anything. We go live when we don't have anything really to share, or we're just kind of updating people on our day. Your audience notices that. And they may not necessarily unfollow you, but it's not hitting the mark the way that you want it to. The second thing that I see is that we start to resent our business. And this is a big one. I've watched so many brilliant women fall completely out of love with the work that they used to adore, because they've turned into this like content machine. They feel like they've just got to keep pushing this marketing. And your business should energize you, not exhaust you. And then the third thing that I see is that our energy in our sales suffers. This is one that I don't see many people talk about, and it's when you're burnt out, you're stretched thin, you're running on empty, and this absolutely shows up in your sales. You come across as desperate or disconnected, or just your vibe is off, and people can feel that. Sales is an energetic exchange, so when your energy is depleted, your conversations suffer. And ironically, the hustle that we are supposed to be doing to grow our business is actually hurting us, and it's actually stopping us getting to where we want to go. And so, if we want to look at sustainable consistency, what does that actually look like to grow your business without burning out? Let me give you a few key principles that I like to come back to again and again. And sometimes I fall into this habit too. So, what we want to do is we want to choose platforms intentionally. So, it's not about needing to be everywhere. Pick one or two places that feel good for you, that your ideal clients are actually spending time, and show up there really well. One platform and one type of content that you love doing beats five that you absolutely resent and aren't consistent with. Then I want you to, number two, is create a rhythm that fits within your life and the way that you like to deliver. So instead of daily posting, what if you commit to like 2 or 3 times a week, or even once a week? It's not about that magic number. It's about the number that you can sustain without the resentment. It's about that consistent post, even if it's once a week for a year, that will outperform posting every 3 weeks consistently, followed by silence every other day after that. Number three is I want you to prioritize depth over frequency in your relationships and your content and quality. One real conversation with a potential client is worth so much more than 10 surface level comments on social media. Bring in that time and that real genuine connection. Ask questions, follow up like a freaking human, not an AI or a stupid funnel. And then number four is I want you to let your message be constant. Your voice, your values, your unique way of you seeing the world, your energy. That is what people are going to be loyal to. This is where your message is clear and consistent, and people will find you and understand you. And this is where they will always remember you and potentially will also refer back to you as well. And then 5, rest is a part of your strategy. This is not soft advice. This is reality. This is pure business strategy, because when you rest, you come back with better ideas, better energy, that magnetic presence that makes people want to be in your world. Rest is not the opposite of growth. Rest is absolutely what enables growth. And I know that I constantly need to remind myself of that as well. So before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with something to actually do. This week, I want you to audit your version of consistency. I want you to ask yourself, what am I doing in my business out of obligation or fear versus what am I doing from a place of genuine connection and excitement and really adding value? So make 2 lists. Look at where your energy is going, and then gently, without any guilt, ask yourself, what would it look like to do less of the first list and more of that second list of where do I want to show up? Women see growing the women that I see growing the fastest in their business are not the ones doing the most. They're the ones that are doing the right things with intention, with presence, and with the energy that makes people lean in. That, my dear people, is the type of consistency that sells. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. If this episode did land for you, I would absolutely love if you could share it with a woman in business who needs to hear this message, because I guarantee that you know someone who is running themselves into the ground, trying to stay visible and hating on themselves for not being as visible or consistent as they want to do. And if you want to go deeper into relationship based sales, please reach out. I'm always happy to have a chat. Come and find me, and all the details on how we can work together in the show notes. Until next time, my beautiful people, I want you to really sell from a relationship and connected space. Have a magical day.